Hello, you all. Welcome to the Soul Therapy Wellness Summit. As you all know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And while the world kept getting louder and louder, we decided to go deeper this month and bring you real conversations with some real powerful voices around wellness. For this whole entire month, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we will be bringing you and have brought you sessions that cross over all facets of wellness right here online for you, live or recorded. I'm Queirra Fenderson, the founder and CEO of The Ambition Studio. I'm a professional certified coach that works with high achieving leaders to help them prevent burnout. I experienced multiple rounds of burnout myself, and I'm trained in the actual experience of burnout, but also in the science around it to help you prevent all of the issues that come from overworking, from being stressed, for carrying that grief and not being able to see your wellness to the end. So if you feel like you're in this high achieving loop, this session is for you because our guest also specializes in this same space. And so today we're bringing two coaches together to have a really deep conversation about your mental health and wellness. Now, I just want to make sure you know that before we dive in, I want to give a special thank you to our media partner, the Washington Informer. They have been with us all month long, and they're the ones helping us amplify this important conversation. So thank you so much for sharing your community with us and letting us be of service to your community. If you haven't officially registered for the summit yet, and remember, when you officially register, not only will you get all of the recordings that we've had this whole month, but you'll also be able to get live updates of our few sessions that are still remaining. Because we believe that wellness is a we thing. Mind, body, money, identity, community, joy, all of it is baked into this summit. So if you've missed previous sessions, register so that we can send you the recordings and you can get caught up to make sure that your wellness is holistic. And look, it's not just me here. There are some fabulous co-hosts that are helping us make this possible. So let's go ahead and bring our co-hosts on the screen. Hello, ladies. Hi, Dr. Javon. Hi, Julia. How y'all doing? Y'all had a good weekend?
We did.
So good.
Oh, we needed that third day of rest. That third day of rest was needed.
And I got to say, before we jump in, thank you to all of our service members and their families. Yeah. Thank you for the sacrifice. Thank you for allowing us to have the freedom we have. So once again, happy Memorial Day, even though it's the day after. I just want to make a public shout out to our military service members and the families who sacrificed so much for our freedom. With that, Julian, will you please let us know who you are, what you do,
y'all know me. Well, let me start by the question I like to ask. How many of you came in today running on empty? The answer to that question is exactly why we created this summit, because that used to be me, and I'm sure everyone on here can relate to that in some way, shape, or form. I'm Julian B. Chiganda, the joy architect and founder at Soul Therapy Media. In 2022, I experienced my own mental health crisis when I attended 6 funerals in 1 year. What pulled me back was getting very intentional about joy, and it changed everything about how I show up and how I help others do the same. We're a creative wellness agency built for leaders, HR professionals, and people and culture champions who are responsible for everyone else. We support organizations with immersive wellness programs, live events, and corporate branding that embed well-being into your culture. Because when your people thrive, retention improves, as we know, culture shifts, and the bottom line ultimately reflects it. This summit is that work in action. And if you're ready to bring a holistic approach into your organization, let's talk.
Love it. Thank you so much, Julian. Dr. Javon.
Hello, everybody. Absolutely. For those who may be checking in for the very first time, I'm Dr. Javon Jackson. I am the founder of Good News Financial and Investment Advisors, and we are the beacon of hope in the retirement readiness and financial wellness industries. We promise tailored educational workshops for corporate teams for maximum employee engagement, productivity, and sustainability. We also support entrepreneurial executives who are usually concerned with market volatility. They're usually writing big checks to the IRS every year, and they just find themselves in this cycle of draining and replenishing their savings to finance their lifestyles or business. So we come in and we show them how to grow their money safely, drastically cut their taxes, and become their own bank so they can save and generate more income in retirement. So, if any of that resonates with you or your organization, we would love to be able to support your organization or you personally in your overall financial wellness. I'm looking forward to this conversation, Queirra.
Yes, thank you, Javon. Would you do me a favor and let them know why it's so important for them to stay to the end?
Yes, yes, yes. So today, like always, we are giving away a special treat from our guest to one lucky viewer. And all you have to do is enter to stay until the end by grabbing the QR code. So we want everybody to stay to the end so that you can be a part of our one lucky winner giveaway. Also, be sure to drop your biggest takeaway from today's conversation in the comments at the end of the session. And that's what gets you in the drawing. That's what gets you in the running. Okay, that's it. So we'll announce the winner during our next session. So make sure you're registered and tuned in.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm excited for that. I love giveaways, and we know at the end that's where the good stuff is anyway, because then we're also going to have Q&A, and you got to get your questions in. So as you're watching, please think about the questions you have for our guest speaker and stay to the end and get those key takeaways. Yeah. All right. I know we want to get into this conversation, but we have something important to do because y'all know we need our daily wellness cards. So, Julian, will you set the stage, get us in the right mindset for this conversation with one of your daily wellness cards, please?
I mean, say less. I got you. I actually really enjoy sharing these because I've gotten so many testimonials from people who have been using these on the daily. These are our Soul Therapy Daily Wellness Cards, which are a very simple, practical, no-tech way to incorporate daily wellness into your life and your work. Therapist endorsed, and we always pull one that has to do with our conversation today. So today's card is deep breath. We could all use that. Find somewhere quiet to sit and close your eyes. Inhale slowly, imagining you're drawing in calm, warm light that spreads throughout your body. Exhale fully, letting go of tension and worries. Repeat 3 times, noticing your chest and belly rise and fall. Why it works? Because there is a science to all of this. Deep breathing lowers cortisol, your stress hormone, and stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, helping your body shift from tension to relaxation. Take a deep breath today, everybody.
Listen, I had to do it with you because I'm here for a nervous system reset all the time. Anybody give me an instruction, I don't care who's watching. I'm closing my eyes. I'm going into it. Absolutely. So thank you, right? Because I'm excited, but also I'm grounded. Ladies, thank you all. Thank you for help setting the stage. I know that we will see you back at Q&A, but I think it's time to jump into the conversation. So catch you all later.
Do it.
All right. Look, you guys. Today's conversation is one I have been looking forward to all month because when I first met Amanda Miller Littlejohn, I had an opportunity to grace the stage with her on a coaches panel, and everything that she was bringing up, every story and anecdote and insight she had to share, I recognized myself in those stories. I was the woman who she was speaking to. And so she has not only figured out how to conquer burnout, she's wrote the book on it. Amanda Miller Littlejohn has spent 15 years helping high achieving professionals, especially Black women like us, uncover the truth about their burnout. She's not here to tell you to work harder or optimize better, because that's what we expect, right? She's actually here to expose the broken system underneath it all. She's an executive coach, a journalist, a Rosalind Carter mental health journalism fellow, And like I said, the author of The Rest Revolution, published by Wiley. Amanda's work has appeared in the Washington Post, Harvard Business Review, the LA Times, and Forbes. Her expertise is in showing you that burnout is not your fault. It's an inheritance that you couldn't avoid. And so the way to solve that is by using rest strategically. Amanda, welcome to the stage. Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
Hello.
That was a great intro. Thank you. I have to bring you on the road.
I gotta have all the accolades. We gotta drop all the credentials. But this conversation alone is just gonna be. I'm just looking so forward to it because I remember us sharing our own experiences of burnout.
Yeah.
And when you spoke to me about the book, and as I read through the book and heard a lot of your personal stories, I recognized myself in you so much. And I really appreciate you being so vulnerable in the moment.
Thank you.
And sharing things that we don't talk about, right? Mm-hmm. So like before we even get into the book, before we get into the methodologies and all the things, what was that moment when you realized like, oh, I'm writing this book for me? It was something that you needed more than everyone else.
There were so many moments. Even while I was writing it, it felt as though the book itself and the process of writing the book was kind of me ministering to myself, me doing the research to get the answers that I needed. There were so many moments. I remember one, I got stuck on this one part of the book. I had not writer's block, but you know how you get to a point and you're like, well, I don't know what else I want to say. And I gave my friend a call and we were just talking, catching up, not talking about the book, but just kind of connecting and talking. And I needed that because I kind of been in isolation, just hunkering down, trying to meet my deadline and write. And that moment of connection and community switched something off or on rather for my brain. And when I hung up the phone, I think I took a walk and I came back and the answer occurred.
Yeah.
Right. And it was like, wow, what a lesson, what a metaphor, what an illustration in the moment of sometimes it's not about pushing harder to get to the gold. Sometimes it's about getting still and getting quiet or refueling yourself through connection so that you can access something that's just beneath the surface, but your nervous system is just too wired to allow you to access. So that was one moment, but there were so many in the process of writing the book. Like it was just, it was a lot.
I bet you it was. I mean, it's a beautiful book. And I love how it's not only just your stories, it's other stories of people in your community, the clients you serve. And you're so, again, like I said, vulnerable that we can identify ourselves in the work, right? When we talk about burnout not being anyone's fault per se, I love how you also open it up and really go into the fact that these are some inherited system issues. And so I want to start there, right? So the Rest Revolution, it opens up with this idea that burnout is inevitable. And it's not because we're weak, it's because of how the systems are created. Mm-hmm. And I want to give away the whole book. I want you to explain it, but as a coach myself and you being a coach, we can see the systematic context that we're all operating inside of. And this started back in the Industrial Revolution, right?
Yes. And I mean,
so can you, before that, right? Depending on what culture we're talking about. So let's go all the way back. Talk us through, where did this burnout culture and system start?
So one note from history that I found fascinating when I was studying the changes, which is, I think is so apropos now as we're entering the AI age, or we're in the AI age, and we're seeing once again how work is being revolutionized, upended, how for some people their work is becoming obsolete. Yeah. And so they are struggling to figure out where do they fit in and how do we work alongside the machines, but not be completely displaced by them. But during the Industrial Revolution, there were management thinkers and theorists who were trying to figure out, okay, how do we better organize the act of work for people who are moving from farms to factories, and maybe they're used to working with family members and community members, and now they're working in these big buildings full of strangers, and they're all tasked with getting this process done. And so I came across the work of Frederick Taylor, who's, pretty big, I think, in sociological circles and in the history and the literature. But what I found fascinating about him was he became like a consultant to entrepreneurs and business owners who were attempting to streamline the work of their employees. And his background was mechanical engineering, which meant his formal training was in machinery and understanding how machines can best do their work. And so he took the mechanical engineering knowledge and then he applied it to people. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So he became like kind of the father of like, this is how you get things done. There's one smart way, one true way to do something most efficiently. And he was essentially teaching workers, all right, here's the process to essentially take all the personality out of your work, get it streamlined and efficient as possible, and essentially be a machine. And I thought that was a very cool metaphor because so much of how companies grew from that point was based on that idea of when your work is at its best, it's perfect without error. It's no energy. It has no extra movements. It's super efficient. It lacks diversity. It lacks personality, personalization. It is just this one way, but also, if you are attempting to get human beings to show up and produce like machines, it's a fool's errand because we're not. We need rest. We need sleep. We need hugs. We need
connection. We need joy.
We need friends.
And that's where your machine mindset phrase comes into play, right?
Yes. So the machine mindset is essentially it's what I observe in the high achievers and in myself, but the high achievers that I've coached over the last 15 years. And it's essentially going back to that concept, those practices that Frederick Taylor was embedding within the organization that he was hired on as a consultant to kind of whip them into shape and get everybody producing. But it's essentially the idea that to be a good worker, I need to perform perfectly, endlessly, without rest, without breaks. Everything I put out has to be, just so. And the more I produce, the more valuable I am, the more worthy I am of all the things.
True. So
and it's,
true.
I think for most of us, that is a mindset that we accepted, we were reared upon, and we didn't question it. It just was the law of the land. It was how you got ahead. Perfection, more output, less rest. I don't know if you read Will Smith's bio.
I didn't. Was there something in there?
Well, I just remember when it came out, and I got the audiobook and listened to him. He's a great storyteller. But one of the things that he talked about was how he wanted to be a movie star and not just an actor. He wanted to be like a global movie star. And so he talked to people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and different actors, like, what are you doing that I'm not doing? And like, you have to be global. You have to go all around the world, etc. And so he said that like during the holidays when people would take breaks to be with their families, they go on vacation, and it's like everybody's chilling, he would use that time to grind because he's like, I can get ahead.
Because they're already
ahead. And if I do this, and this, then by the time everybody is coming back from the holidays, I'm already here. at what cost? What are you
Right.
doing?
And that's the piece, right? What we hide. That's why I acknowledge how vulnerable you are in here, because on the surface, and I'm dropping all the gems out the book. Y'all got to read the book to hear these things.
That's a
We're
lot.
talking about the power of the blue me. And so I'm curious, you brought up AI. This is really important, right? AI allows us to be more efficient. It takes a lot of the thinking out of what we do day to day. And now there's a rhetoric in hustle culture that says, you know, AI, you got to keep up with AI because people are going to be producing at multiples of the rate of a normal human. And it could take me 1 hour to get a proposal out or 1 hour to get a presentation done, where typically it could take me a full day to think through that. And so I would imagine that there does need to be a balance between your level of output expectation now that you have AI. Because one of the things that I found in my work, right, is that stretch goals got me, and stretch goals gets a lot of our clients too, where because they're high performers, they're usually the ones who are tasked with the higher level goals, the stretch goals, the things that seem more impossible. And if you're already indoctrinated in having to prove yourself, then you must hit that stretch goal just to be worthy. How do you see AI factoring into the strategy of rest? How can people figure out where their balance is with that expectation?
Well, I am a fan of using technology. I'm a fan of efficiency, believe it or not.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a fan
of course, efficiency. Right?
Well, simply because, you know, if you can streamline something, it should not require as much energy. So then you have more energy and more time to do the things that matter to you. And so I think that it's an interesting question, and it really depends on where one is in their journey, in their career. For me, I'm excited about the ways that I can leverage AI to get back time to be creative and to travel and to still share my ideas and my message and my words with the world, but it not having to be the only thing I have time to do, right? Like, okay, now I've got room. Like I'm pondering all sorts of things. I'm, you know, looking at PhD programs. I'm like thinking, okay, what fellowships can I go after, and where can I take this message internationally? Where can I go and speak about this elsewhere? And I think some of the things that I'm even challenging myself to explore wouldn't be possible without the efficiencies gathered from that. So I think, you know, it takes me back to this moment, and you may remember the moment too when smartphones became ubiquitous. Like, we went from, okay, I have to be at my computer, I have to be at my desk, I have to be at a machine in order to send emails, check websites, you know, correspond, check in here and check orders, all the things. And then when the smartphones got really sophisticated,
it was like a superpower in your pocket.
You had a computer in your pocket. And I think at first it was like, oh, so I can do all these things. And I noticed that happening for myself. Instead of this little computer making me more productive and efficient, it was like, okay, I can do more. And then you start filling in the space that you had emptied, right? Because now you're more efficient and you just start finding more things to do. I think where I am at this stage of my life is the white space. I savor it. So I'm able to create something, and I know I have the experience and just the time in the game to know, okay, this will work, this is good, this is fine. Letting myself say it's fine as it is. Not the end of the world if we've lost the bio.
Y'all don't know about that part. Hey. I appreciate that, because here's what I'm hearing, right? And I know in our work mindset, it's everything. I mean, you spoke about the machine mindset in the beginning. It's easy for you and I to say, okay, well, use technology to be efficient so that you can have more time. But the piece that is critical is how you're utilizing that time.
Yeah.
And so when you don't have a nurtured mindset, when you haven't been shifted around the machine mindset, shifted around the high achiever, shifted around attaching your identity to your self-worth, then you think I'm being more efficient so I can get more things done, because we know that to-do list continues to go on and on and on. And I would venture to bet it never ends, right? But it's because, at least I know you see it in your work, because I read it in the book and it's so common. High achievers, especially women, have such a difficult time sitting and resting and being in idle time. If they're not efforting or physically doing something, they feel like they're not being productive, or something's triggered in their mind subconsciously that they don't even realize what's making them uneasy. Their nervous system's feeling like not good enough, imposter syndrome, all the things.
Yeah.
And one of the key pieces that I love that you spoke about in the book is something that I practice every year. And this is not exactly the literal translation, but I will say it in my own words. I don't make New Year's resolutions, because that's in the winter. And oftentimes, I think that machine mindset, but also the Industrial Revolution, right? This society has us pushing through winter, metaphorically and literally.
Yeah.
And so in your book, you talk about this idea of skipping winters, where most high achievers are skipping winters and pushing through and only looking at, when they're planting seeds, when they're harvesting, when things are great, and not acknowledging the power and the strategy in rest. Could you break down for me and for the audience members what you mean around being in winter and using rest as a strategy?
So that's chapter 4. I think it's chapter 4 in the book.
Oh yeah, I got my. Yes, it is.
Repeatedly skipping winter, and that's a lot of people's favorite chapter in the whole book. And so to explain the concept of repeatedly skipping winter. So first of all, I was interviewing all these high achievers who did not know one another, but they were all describing a similar pattern and a similar journey to their eventual burnout breaking point. And one of the parts or the elements of that burnout journey was this idea that I forgo the regular periods that are required for my rest. It's like I'm just pushing. And so that maps to my executive coaching philosophy, which is called purposescaping. And it's a seasonal framework where you look at different areas of your life. It's not just your career or your work. It could be your parenting, your marriage, your friendships, your health, but you look at them on kind of a, you try to observe, all right, where am I in this journey? Because depending on where I am and what season I am in this aspect of my life, that'll tell me what I need, right? Because there are different tools, different nutrients, different activities that are required for success in each season. And so if you are judging your career on a fall harvest, but you are in, spring planting, you're always going to feel like you're behind, when what you really need to be doing is getting clear on what mentorship do I need? What do I need to learn? How do I grow this fragile new thing so that it can take root and be healthy and strong, and then it can take off? And so that concept, that maps to literally anything. Like I was talking last year when my eldest child went off to college, how like the end of high school very much feels like a harvest, right? Fall, like, oh, we finally reached the ending. And then we have that summer break of winter rest, right? And in the fall, it's time to start college. And I had to really coach myself that, Amanda, and I mean, I'm coaching myself in the moment because we're here. We are here.
Yeah, I was like, you right
now. Yes, you have gotten this child to the end of childhood, but young adulthood is just beginning. And so while you may have had expectations and you may have communicated with a tone because you were in the harvest, and it's like, you know how to do high school, you know how to do childhood. I have these expectations for you. You're starting all over again. It's spring planting. This is a fragile new young adult who doesn't know how adulthood works. So Amanda, if you want this tender little new plant to thrive and take root and grow, you're going to have patience. You're going to have to be gentle. You're going to have to change your communication style. You're going to have to pour in, and not expect this child to just get it and understand and be harvesting on day one. No, you didn't get to the end of childhood, right? In one season. So now we're starting over. And so you've got to adopt almost like you are parenting a toddler. Like, you don't expect a toddler to know, how to regulate themselves or what they're supposed to be eating. Like, these are things they have to learn, and you have to teach them, and you have to be patient. And over time that will grow. It's like the same thing. So I love that example because it shows how the philosophy tracks to not just your career, but in terms of repeatedly skipping winter. I think most of us are accustomed to deciding that we want to do something new, putting energy into it, and doing the hard work to get to where we finally have something to celebrate, or a promotion, or
if we're celebrating at all.
Right.
Remember that part of the
there's a moment when you graduate to the next phase, whether you celebrate it or not. But that season after the harvest of, okay, I finally was able to cash in on all of the prior seasons of hard work. Most people will then go immediately back into spring, like planting and blooming and, growing something. But the season of winter is about, it's about rest, but it's also about reflection and decision making, because that's when you decide, you get clear on, okay, what went well, what didn't. What do I want to prune? What do I want to let go of? What do I want to replace when I start my spring planting again? And so a lot of people aren't taking the time to reflect on what is required for their ideal harvest, right? You got to take that time in winter to do that before you go into spring. And so most people repeatedly skip that. And when you skip winter over and routinely, right? When you do that over and over again, you're setting yourself up, your body, your mind, you're going to be depleted, because no human being, a machine can, but no human being can operate at that pace without the rest, without the season of winter. And every being in nature requires it.
Yes.
So I wonder why we think that we don't.
Right. Oh, so many good analogies. I'm first of all, congratulations on your son going to college, because that is a feat. I have a 6-year-old, and every year or so I'm looking back like, who are you now? They change so quickly. And I think one of the things that I didn't notice I was doing, I remember when she transitioned from 3 to 4, every time she would transition, I would look and be like, that's not the same kid. I don't know. You could just tell different mannerisms. I'm looking, that's not the same kid. And I would observe her for a couple of days, just watch it. I didn't deploy my same strategies. We had a routine, but there was a different way that I spoke to her. I just watched her. And without even knowing, that was my winter rest period, right? She just changed. We just got to this great pace. Oh, everything is good to go. We know how to feed her. We know what her routine is. And then she go and change it up on us. Instead of jumping into trying to attack the strategy and look up all the things on Google and ask all my mom friends, I watched her and observed. And I love your point around how important it is to practice taking winter breaks in other pieces of your life. Because oftentimes these conversations around burnout are around our careers, our businesses, our livelihoods, and sometimes the stakes feel too high in that area. But if we were to look at relationships, like you said, if we were to look at hobbies, if we were to look at our health, if we were to look at other areas in our life, it gives us practice ground that's not so public. And then we can, right? The other piece I love that you said in the book too around winter, because I'm a gardener. I may not be I'm not a big gardener, but I have my kitchen gardener. And I know, what was it, your great grandparents that were farmers?
Well,
Okay.
my great.
Oh, your whole
aunt.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you have a rich history and understanding around gardening. So any of our listeners and watchers who are gardeners, you'll understand this concept is that you underestimate what's happening under the soil,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what we really need to know. That soil has to be ripe and ready. Your
Yes.
tools have to be ripe and ready. You go take that inventory. I love what you said around if something broke, would you know that your shovel is broke if you didn't stop and look at your tools and take inventory?
Or would you know that, you know what, it's time to upgrade to a bigger shovel because
Right?
we've
Yes.
outgrown the tools that got us started.
Or remember when the aphids got my tomatoes?
Lord.
Maybe I need to plant them in a different place. Maybe, right? You plan out your garden plot differently. Yes, okay. Marigolds. Okay, let me not go down a whole garden situation. But right, I mean, it's important. Strategic debriefs, reflection, awareness, and then just preparing yourself from a nervous system perspective to ground into the new phase of your life because we're always doing something new. Life is always evolving. So yeah, that's
lucky.
oh yeah. Well, don't think about that. Lord willing, God willing, I'm here all the way to 100 if we're lucky. Okay, so we got purposescaping. We touched on it. I would like to go into a couple of other places because I think you make a really good point about blooming that we really didn't touch on, and we have some extra time, just a little bit. Can you touch on what blooming is and how it tends to control our efforts?
Yeah. So in the purposescaping philosophy, like blooming is that visible, public, beautiful, the time for validation and applause. Like when we're doing the things that kind of show that we've been doing the work and now there's evidence of it. Yes, I've had my head down, but now look at me. I'm blooming. I'm winning awards. I'm winning fellowships. I've got book deals. I'm, speaking on stages. I'm on a wellness summit. Like that's something that other people can observe and validate with their praise, with their applause, etc. And I think that oftentimes we can conflate the response, like the world's response to our blooming, right? With the idea that this is what we should always be doing. But sometimes there are seasons when you won't be blooming, like the work that you just talked about. We don't know what's going on underground. We don't always know what's happening underground. And if you extend that metaphor to the person, those are the quiet things that happen, when you're reflecting, when you're journaling, when you are not on stage, not blooming, not in the spotlight, but you're setting yourself up with the important work that's not glamorous. Right? It's not glamorous. No one's clapping for you to write in your journal, right? No one is like cheering you on.
Every meditation you do.
Right. It's like, or, you weren't shooting with me in the gym. Like people want to see the game. They don't want to see practicing. But I think that when we can embrace life outside of blooming and really celebrate the interior work that's required to put yourself in position to bloom. That's when I think we can embrace a more restful pace that's more sustainable for everything. And then also you get better blooms.
Because it's fertile soil. Yeah. And it's so interesting because like you said, no one's in the gym watching you take what do they call the bricks? They just see you make the 3-pointer, right? It's all about doing the inner work. It's the therapy sessions. It's the journaling. It's having the tough conversations behind the scenes. It's pouring more into your marriage than your work. It's those times where you're sitting down trying to understand your child. It's those times where you're forcing yourself to eat healthy or take your vitamins and stay consistent with your doctor's appointments. That's a given, but those are some of the main things that go away when you're in overworking mode.
Yep, for sure.
So we need to really normalize that, especially as we go into AI, because I think that oftentimes too, as coaches, we see people start to use AI as a substitute for doing the work, as
Mm,
it's supposed to be a supplement.
right.
But there's such a human factor, and I think that's the underpinning of our entire conversation. There's such a human element to the connection, the inner work, the mindset beliefs, and the shifts that have to happen that sometimes machines, they just won't understand. They don't have that soul. They don't have that empathy. They won't get it. So I know, you know, there's a difference between reading a book
Mhm.
and then actually doing that inner work. So when you're working with leaders at companies like Amazon and PayPal, Spotify, seeing your resume, what are some of the practical strategies that you're sharing that makes them feel like they can practice rest even when the stakes feel really, really high?
I love that we started the session with the rest cards and the breathing exercise and all of that, because that's such a powerful and easy, accessible. Let me say, not easy.
Yeah.
It's accessible. It's an accessible practice. I was just at last month in Atlanta doing a session for people at Warner Brothers. And it
Mhm.
was funny because I said, if we can do 15 minutes a day of stillness, and I got pushback on
For
that. Like 15 minutes?
15.
And I'm like, okay, 10. They're like,
But how long are they scrolling?
2.
You know?
Well, we did a sound bath
Oh,
meditation. So I led them through a sound bath, and, you know, in the moment they got their 15. And I think they
right.
saw how, I won't say easy, but how accessible it is to get still. But
Yeah.
just like anything else, the way we have built the muscle to overwork, it didn't happen overnight. And if you are someone who has been building that muscle every day to abuse yourself in,
Yeah.
you know, the attempt to get more done, you almost have to start building a similar muscle when it comes to your stillness. And so what I encourage the leaders who pushed back on 15 minutes was, let's start with what you can do. What can you
Right.
do consistently that doesn't feel overwhelming to you? And then let's grow it from there. And so I think we settled on 2.5 minutes.
Not a half.
She
Wait.
said she could do 2.5 minutes. And I was like, okay. And so maybe next
Okay.
week we can get to 3 minutes. And maybe the next week we can get to 4. So it's
Yes.
not
You gotta meet them
shaming
where they are.
yourself for
Of
what you
course.
can or cannot do, but it's also
Right.
realizing that that is a muscle that is weak, that you've
Yeah.
allowed to atrophy. And so
Yeah.
now you have to strengthen it. And just like anything else, it's going to take time,
Yeah.
consistency, and the reps put in. But to answer your question about where do people start, where can they start? Everyone can start with the breath. Everyone, I mean, I have, you know, different meditations and exercises on my Substack. I have a
Mm-hmm.
subscriber section called The Sanctuary, where
Oh,
you can
good.
listen to sound baths that I've recorded and meditations I'm adding to that. But you can
Yes.
go on YouTube and find, you know, a breathing exercise that you can
Yep.
do if you only have 60 seconds, if you only have 5 minutes. So I'd start with that. But I mean, I personally love sound baths. I know it's not everyone's thing. I love
them
sound baths. I
too.
love journaling, but
Yes.
that's my recipe. And so I encourage people to get to know themselves and get to know what works for them, and also what works for their lifestyle, their location. Like if I was
Mm-hmm.
next to a trailhead, I would
Oh,
disappear into the
out.
forest daily,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
But right now it's like, okay, I can get to a trail when I can, but I can always access my breath, a sound bath, and my journal. So you want to make it
Yes.
easy for yourself. You want to make it fit into your life. Eventually, I hope to move to, you know, my farm where I can do like Martha Stewart and have my
Yes.
own
Oh,
trails on the
girl,
grounds.
I need to be there. I just want to tend to your vegetables. Like
Right?
my happy space is garden space. I
Yeah.
realized when I became a mom, that was so after going through 2.5 years of IVF, which was a whole nother experience in
Journey.
high achievement, right? Then we hit COVID, which you talk
Mhm.
about a lot in the book. and we come out of that period, I'm like, I'm a whole mom. What does my rest look like? I don't have those quiet times anymore. I know you're a mom of 3, so you can understand that. One of the things that I did was I started changing my algorithm. So I unsubscribed from things on YouTube and resubscribe and subscribe to, like subscribing to your channel, subscribing to Sound Bath channels, subscribing to different practitioners. So when I go on YouTube, it automatically pops up. I did that on my Instagram. So anytime that most times when I'm on Instagram, it's more wellness, more nervous system regulation. There's like somatic people on there that will get me in a breathing exercise in 60 seconds. So little integrations like that in terms of what information is coming in for me really helped me to integrate, because I need integration at this point.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I want to go on for so long, and we can't, Amanda. We can't go on forever. I want to talk about sound baths. I know. I'm like, can we just blow it? Like, let's just keep talking for another hour.
What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do?
They're gonna just kick us off. Let's do it. No, okay. All right. So we'll talk about sound baths later, because that is so beautiful. I love sound baths, and I don't think enough people have really experienced them and understand the healing frequencies. So if you all don't know what sound baths are, you got to go check out Amanda's Substack. Please. This was such a good conversation.
Yay.
Good. It was so quick, but so good. I want to make sure that the ladies, even the leaders in the audience who are listening to this conversation, they're like, oh, she was talking to me. I do that. I skip winters. I'm kind of more addicted to the blooming phases. I can relate to the 2.5 minutes of rest. I want to make sure that our audience members leave with just the main takeaways, so that if they are in this space of not really knowing what to do, they can have some mindset shifts or actionable takeaways where they can at least start. So we're going to share your takeaways. And if you could just walk through them for us, I would love it. What's the first takeaway?
Beautiful. Burnout is not a personal failure. It's the byproduct of a systemic inheritance. So we talked a little bit about this during our conversation about the Industrial Revolution and Frederick Taylor and management thinkers who were bringing us literally machine mindset from the field of mechanical engineering. But during that time, I think that was when the rise of our worth becoming synonymous with our output, and I will flag this. Overall, I think this is a great point to observe in terms of a starting point, especially if you are in the African diaspora, in descendants of slaves, or enslaved people, apologies. This goes back much further. Literally, your worth was synonymous with your output. So yes, we have inherited ancestral trauma from these systems, and it is swimming in the air. It is what we were taught by our teachers, by our parents, by society. And so it's not something that we individually are responsible for. It's more like the social mores that we have been absorbing.
Yeah. And we have to learn how to navigate that and recognize it and be okay within ourselves. Thank you. We definitely want to make sure we get to Q&A, and I'm just looking at time. Give us your last 2 takeaways, because I know there's a lot of questions in the audience and they're like, y'all.
All right. So I'll just be quick. Rest is your most terrifying move and your competitive edge. We can go to the next one.
Okay. They can catch the replay.
You're skipping a season. You cannot afford to skip. And we talked about this.
We did.
We talked about this in depth. So stop repeatedly skipping winter.
Yep.
Is there another?
Nope. That's it. Top 3 takeaways.
I know I can get talky. So
I can get talky too. I think that's the thing about coaches too. We just get into it and then want to unpack it and the whole thing. And it's fascinating work because it's not just the surface. We get so deep. But to that point, thank you for this conversation. Let's go ahead and shift into some Q&A, because you all, I know that this conversation has been really rich. So let's bring our co-hosts back up so we can open up our Q&A discussion. Jovan, Julian, hello. Hi, ladies.
Hey,
back.
this was awesome. I got a
Good.
page full of notes here. So good.
Dropping gems.
Oh my gosh. I don't know where to start. I mean, what did our time look like? Okay. I'm just this conversation is just so timely because I literally was having a conversation this past Sunday, with a leader in my church, and she was just talking about all the things that she's having to do and all these trips that's lined up, and she literally was just sharing how there was no she was living in a spirit of overwhelm, and I was just like, sis, you are on the verge of burnout, and so yeah, I'm just so appreciative for this conversation and the nuggets that were dropped today. Now, here's what I do want to ask. I know there's a lot of women in our audience right now who's nodding, but also thinking, this sounds beautiful, but my life won't allow it. She's got a team depending on her, kids looking out, parents to care for, kids and bills to pay. What do you say to her when rest feels like a luxury she simply just cannot afford?
Well, I think that you have to interrogate that statement. Rest is a luxury I cannot afford. That sounds good for everybody else, but I simply can't. So I think number one, you must interrogate that, like, who said it, and really peel back the layers of the truth in that statement. Like, what would happen if you took some time for yourself? What would fall apart? And sometimes things need to fall apart. It's okay. Because here's the thing. If you do not figure out a way to prioritize yourself, you will fall apart. And that is essentially like what every story in this book, every interview in this book confirmed. Like, when we overwork on autopilot, we repeatedly skip winter, we back burner what matters, we eventually will hit a burnout breaking point, and that is typically a health crisis, a mental health crisis, if we lose someone close to us and we don't have time to grieve, or just kind of a lostness from career or business not working out the way that we thought, because we thought all of our hard work would get us to this place that we didn't get to, and then we're disillusioned. And so it's hard to hear that, and it's hard to say that, okay, if I do not make the space for rest, my body or my mind will make it for me. That's what's at stake. So you can say, everybody needs me, you're going to have to start delegating. You're going to have to start building community. You're going to have to get support, and you're going to have to let things go. So
true.
It's real.
It is. Either you make the decision or your body will make it for you.
Facts on 100%. And I think we can probably all attest to that in some way.
Yes.
If we're keeping it real.
Right.
So I do want to shout out, her name is L'Oreal Akitunde from our audience, who posted a really great comment. She said, going inward has created far deeper results for me than constantly pushing outward ever did. The more grounded I become, the clearer my decisions, relationships, and opportunities feel. Growth doesn't always come from hustle. Sometimes it comes from alignment, rest, and finally hearing yourself clearly. And yes, to sound baths. And she says, thank you to everybody. So that was really good. Thank you so much, L'Oreal.
Yes.
That was really good. I want to make sure I called that out, because I think that really summarized this whole conversation. And I really love that whole winter analogy, because it's really not till recently that I started really thinking about the fact that, why are we hustling and bustling and making New Year's resolutions in the dead of winter? When everybody else is resting and waiting, like nature waits for spring before it gets fully active. I've even started resetting how I do things in my own life. And, for anybody who is listening right now and who's ready to do something different, the woman who just doesn't know where to start, right? Between your book, working with a coach, and therapy, I mean, there's so many ways to get to the point where you just feel more centered and grounded and aligned. How does she figure out which door to walk through first?
That's a good question. I don't know that you have to figure out which door to walk through first. Just choose one. Choose one. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself which feels Yeah, well, not even any meaning.
No,
like,
I know.
like what feels good.
Yeah.
I think that's so let me not get on my soapbox. Another idea from the book that we didn't get too terribly into, but my work, as some of you all know, the background of the coaching work is like personal branding, understanding who you are. And one of the things that is consistent both for people who have wanted to put themselves out there and build brands and the people who are now in burnout, they're typically the same person, just kind of at different points of the journey, is a lack of self-awareness, understanding, and self-trust. And I think that before you can truly authentically put yourself out there, you need to become a student of yourself and understand who you are. And so to me, kind of what's underneath that question is, have I been spending enough time with myself, getting to know myself, understanding, like being able to perceive those tiny differences in my energy when something is a fit and when it's not, when someone is a fit and they're not, when an opportunity is a fit and it's not, right? Yep. And so I think the more you spend time, all goes back to the stillness. You can't escape it. But the more you spend time with yourself and you strengthen that connection with yourself, it's not a question of what does someone else think I should do first, but what feels most aligned for me. And so if someone's asking that question, I would say, go back to communing with yourself so that you are clear on what you're leaning towards, and you will know.
Yeah.
That's good. I love that answer. It's not a cookie cutter solution.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're always looking for, these tactics and strategies, but that may not be the best thing for you. So
exactly.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. So are there any other questions in the question?
No, I think people were just really paying attention to what
Okay. Good. Because I know we dropped the line. I don't want to miss anyone's questions before we start to wrap up. Amanda, thank you again so much for generously giving us the insights, the background, the history, what the audience members can do to move forward. But before we let you go, we also would love for you to tell us about the free giveaway that you're offering to our community today.
So some lucky person will get a copy. Oh, I'm holding it up. A copy of The Rest Revolution. So if you can scan this code, we can figure out who the winner is and get you a copy of the book.
And I think we also dropped the link in chat too. So be sure to enter to win, because listen, you see all the tabs on my book. Like, this is a keeper. This is a place to start if you want some more awareness. And lastly, if you want to connect with Amanda, can we tell our audience where they can find your work?
Oh, wow. Yes. Oh, there you go. You know, and I will say one place that I didn't share is my Substack.
Your Substack.
I didn't say the Substack. So The Rest Revolution, but it's just my name, amandamillerlittlejohn.substack.com. I'm over there a lot. So please join me.
I love it. I'm a subscriber. So yes, Amanda, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're just a wealth of information, knowledge, and your spirit of spaciousness to allow rest and allow purpose and allow whatever to be created through that unique person's experience. That's the thing that really makes your work incredible. It's not cookie cutter. It's really crafted for what they need. So thank you so much for this conversation. It has been absolutely amazing. You all, please do connect with Amanda after this. And then
one question. Somebody asked for the code again. Can we show that code up?
Oh,
that code up again.
Thanks, Javon.
My good sister Rita Bailey.
Yeah, because they need to grab this book.
Yeah, screenshot it, and if not, I'll send it to you.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Amanda, thank you. And for everyone else, this session will remain available on LinkedIn and YouTube. So if this conversation moved you, please share it and post it with hashtag wellness is a we thing in Soul Therapy Wellness Summit. And forward it to the people that you know didn't get a chance to watch this, right? Like Dr. Javon, we heard that you know someone in your community that's going to be able to benefit from this. So forward it to her.
A lot of people in my community.
Okay.
we're all high achievers. Everybody. Going.
And our final session is coming up this Thursday, May 28th. I cannot believe it's our final session. So we'll be talking about how to shift your mindset to reclaim joy while you're fighting health battles. I won't give away too much, but for those of you who are registered, you will have the link. And Javon, please remind us, how can they register again?
Yeah. If you haven't registered, the link is in the video description. And again, your seat is on us. So you'll receive the link that for every remaining session directly in your inbox. And so you go to soultherapymedia.com/summit26. And I'll drop the link as well in the comments again too.
Yes. And listen, because just because the summit is almost over doesn't mean that this wellness party stops. Because in June, we are going to be hosting an in-person live wellness mixer that you are going to want to be at. But the people on our mailing list who are registered will get that information first. And I promise you, it's going to be so good. So make sure you register, soultherapymedia.com, Summit 26. And I want to also make sure that you all know how to contact all of us who are the co-hosts for the summit. We have myself at Soul Therapy Media. We have Dr. Javon at goodnewsfinancialservices.com. We have, of course, our coach, executive coach on record, Queirra Fenderson at the Ambition Studio, and Lakeisha Vinay, who brings all the pleasure and joy through her divine wine jelly. And of course, we cannot forget to thank our amazing media partner, the Washington Informer, who has served as a trusted voice in the DC metro area for the past over 60 years.
Thank you all. This was so good. I'm so excited we were able to bring this to them because y'all know what? Wellness is amazing.
Bye, you all for joining.